So fractions are just another way of writing division problems. So here we have 1 over 2 or a half, which literally means 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2. And I can write this using a different symbol. I can say 2 into 1. Now, how many times can 2 go into 1? Wait, it can't really go into it. Well, it goes into it 0 times. And because I'm finished with this one, I'm going to put a decimal point. And then I'm going to extend the number by adding a placeholder 0. So now it becomes 2 into 10. 2 into 10 goes how many times? 5 times. So a half is exactly equal to 0.5 as a decimal. Let's try another one. We have 3/4 or 3/4. This is the same thing as 3 divided by 4. Or you could say 4 into 3. Ask yourself, how many times can 4 go into 3? 4 bigger than 3. So you can't really go into it. So the number that represents that is 0. I'm finished with the 3, and 3 is in the ones column, so I put a decimal to show that I'm going into the fractional part now. And then I'm going to add a placeholder 0 so that I can continue my division. Now the problem becomes 4 into 30. 4 into 30 goes how many times? Well, it goes 7 times. Good. Now I need to do some long division for check for make sure say my answer them right, So I'm going to say 4 times 7 will give me 28. And I'm going to take away that 28 from 30. So 28, 29, 30. Leave back with 2. So we still can go some more. Can add another placeholder and bring down the 0. So the problem now becomes 4 into 20. See now? 4 into 20. So 4 into 20 goes how many times? 5, 10, 15, 20. Goes 4 times. A lie. 4. 4. 4 goes into 25 times. Let me check it just to be sure. So 4 times 5 is 20. And when I subtract, end up with 0. So I know that 3 over 4 is exactly equal to 0.75 as a decimal. One last one. We have 2 over 5. 2 over 5 is the same as 2 divided by 5. Or I could say 5 into 2. But 5 bigger than 2. So I'm going to put a 0 up here. Use my decimal point to show that I'm finished with the ones positions. And I'm going to add this 0 here to show that I'm moving into the fractional part now, the decimals. So I'm going to say now, 5 into 20 goes how many times? It goes 4 times. 4 times 5 gives me 20. And when I do my subtraction, I end up with 0. So 2 over 5 is exactly equal to 0.4 as a decimal. And I'm done. Here we have a fraction, 3/5 or 3 over 5. And to convert a fraction into a decimal, another method we can use is to create equivalent fractions with the denominator being powers of 10. And when I say powers of 10, I really mean 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and so forth. So what I need to do is to look at my denominator, 5, and ask myself, which one of these numbers out of 10, 100, or 1,000 is 5 easier to go into? 5 is easier to go into 10. So 5 can go into 10 two times. So to create an equivalent fraction, I will multiply 5 by 2, and that will give me my new denominator. And that will give us 10. So here I have the denominator being a power of 10, whether 10, 100, or 1,000. Now remember, we need to keep it balanced, because it's a equivalent fraction. So equivalent, equal, right? So what I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. So like how I multiply the denominator by 2, I need to multiply the numerator by 2. So 3 times 2 gives us 6. So this is telling us that 3/5 is exactly the same or equal to 6 over 10. Now this is easy for us to convert as a decimal. Let's look. So we have 6 over 10. Imagine just the 6 alone. Where would the decimal point come? Behind the 6. The 6 is in the ones position, and directly behind the ones position to the right is the decimal point. Now what I need to do now is to look and see how many zeros are in my denominator. I only see 1 0. So that tells me I'm going to move the decimal point 1 place to the left. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I'm starting here, and I'm moving it 1 place to the left because of 1 0 in the denominator. So the decimal point will come right here. So now, so my final answer is 0.6. And that's it. Another way we could interpret this is by writing out our place value chart. So we have tens, ones, the decimal point, tenths with a TH, hundredths with a TH, right? And I'm going to use my lines to separate the columns. So the tenths is 1 out of 10. The hundredths is 1 out of 100. So when I look at this 6 over 10, which column would it fall in? The tens column, the ones column, the 10th column, or the 100th column? And because I want no confusion, I'm going to do this. Ones, tens. Now look at it. The 6 over 10 resembles which one of these? The 1 over 10. So I'm going to put 6 under the tens column. And put my decimal point under the decimal point. And to clean it up, there are 0 ones, so I put 0 in the ones column. Notice that we end up getting the same thing, 0.6. Using the place value chart, we end up getting the same thing. So either way that you find it easier to understand and to work, do it that way. So here is another example with the fraction 14 out of 25. Now remember, our goal is to rewrite this fraction with a denominator of either 10, 100, or 1,000. Now looking at it, Which one of these can 25 go into easily without leaving a remainder? Think about it. Well, 25 is bigger than 10, so can't be 10 no time at all. Right? I know that 25 can go into 100 easily. So I'm going to choose this 100. So the question is, how do I move from 25 to 100 by multiplication? Well, I have to multiply by 4. 25 times 4 will give us that 100. Now remember, it's an equivalent fraction we are making. So whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do it to the numerator. So I have to go multiply the 14 also by 4 to get the new numerator, which would make that equivalent fraction. Now me remember how to multiply 14 by 4, so I'm going to come to the side and work it out. So I have 14 being multiplied by 4. See how I neat with my something? So 4 times 4 is 16. Put the 6 here. Carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus this one that we just carry make 5. So 14 times 4 is equal to 56. So I put in 56 as my new numerator. Now let me show you again. This is a fraction with the denominator being 100. How can I write that as a decimal? Let's go. We have 56 over 100. Where would the decimal point fall in the number 56 itself? After the 6. So I can put my decimal point here. Then I'm going to look down in the denominator. Let's see 100, good. But how many zeros are there? 1, 2. So I need to move this decimal place or point 2 places to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2. So the new decimal point position is right in front of the 5. So this should give me 0.56. Brilliant. Let's use the place value chart to work it out. So we have tens, ones, decimal point, tenths with a TH and a S, hundredths, and thousands. Dot, dot, dot. And I'm going to use my lines to separate my columns. Only one digit to a column. And to help you identify the value, tens, 1, 0. Ones, 1. Tenths, 1 out of 10. Hundredths, 1 out of 100. And a thousandths, 1 out of 1,000. Good. Looking at my original fraction, this one that I just converted, 56 out of 100. Look, which one of these does it resemble? Sum out of 100. Not this one, not that one, not that one, but this one. Now this is how it's tricky. I look for the hundredths column. The hundredths column right here. What's the last digit in the hundredths column? Or in this 56? It's 6. So I put in the 6 here. And then I write in it backwards. So starting with the last digit, 6. And then the 5. Because I couldn't just go put 56 in the hundredths column here. So you know. Because it's only one digit to a column. So I have to start from the hundredths column with the last digit being 6, and then I write it backwards. Put in my point under my decimal point, and there's a 0 in the ones column. So if you look at it, my answer when I did it up here, so I got 0.56. My answer when I use the place value chart, I got 0.56. So I'm sure to be correct. .5. So first things first that I want to do is to identify my place value. So when I see the decimal point, I know that the digit right in front of it is a ones column. Ones. And the digit after the decimal point is in the 10th column. So if I know that, I can easily write a decimal into a fraction. So I just need to look at this number, and I'm going to say 5 over 10. That's it, because it's in the 10th position. The 10th position. So 5 over 10, and pretty much that's it. So to reduce this now, I can say 5 into 5 goes 1 time, and 5 into 10 goes 2 times. So 0.5 as a fraction is exactly equal to a half. Seems too simple to be true, right? Let's try another one. Here we have 0.75. First thing I'm going to do is identify my position, my place values. This is my ones column, then the decimal point. Then I have 1/10, then 1/100th. Now when I look at it, the last digit of 0.75 coming this way is 5, and it's in the 100th column. So this is what I do. Last digit is in the 100th column, I put the 100, and then I put back all of this number, 75. Very, very, very easy. So to reduce this as a fraction, I have to look for a common factor between the numerator and the denominator. And because I don't remember my 15 times table, I'm going to use 5. So I have 75 here, and I'm dividing it by 5. 5 into 7 goes 1 time, remainder 2. 5 into 25 goes 15. So I know that 5 can go into 75 15 times. Let's do it with 100. 5 into 100. 5 into 10, 0. 5 into 1, 0. Then 5 into 10, 2. And 5 into 0, 0. So 5 into 100 goes 20. Great. So it's reduced. I can work with this now. Now I need to ask myself, what factor can go into 15 and 20 without leaving a remainder? 5 again. So 5 into 15 goes 3 times. 5 into 20 goes 4 times. So when I reduce this fraction, 75 over 100, I end up getting 3 over 4. So this tells me that 0.75 as a decimal is very much equal to 3 over 4 as a fraction. One last example. And I think I want to change this from being a 0 to a 1. So 1.42. Well, when you check it out, 1 is in the ones column and 1 is a whole number. So I'm going to have my 1, and I'm going to treat it separately from my decimals. So I'm going to label the positions: ones, tenth, 100th. So the last digit, the 2, is in the 100th column. So my denominator is going to be 100. And my numerator is going to be all of this number, 42. And this is what it would look like. But I can reduce this 42 over 100. I know that 42 is an even number and 100 is an even number. So I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So I'm going to say 2 into 42. 2 into 4 goes 2 times. 2 into 2 goes 1 time. Great. So if I'm going to reduce this, I'm going to have to write back my whole number 1 and put the 21 up in the numerator. Then I need to do the same thing with the 100. 2 into 100. 2 into 1, 0. 20, 10, 5, 20, 0, 0. So 50. So when I reduce 142 over 100, I'm going to get 121 over 50. So 1.42 is exactly equal to 121 over 50 as a fraction.